On today's tutorial, we are going to work on this design that my client sent to me, and she asked me to make this exact top and skirt for her. So if this is the kind of tutorial you would like to learn, stay to the end and make sure you watch every details because it's a little bit kind of complicated. The design looks simple, but it is complicated. So let's begin with today's tutorial. First of all, we will mark out 1 inch because if you have been following me, you will know that I always mark out 1 inch on the top of my pattern paper. So I'll mark 1 inch and then I will mark my half length, my underbust, and my bust point. If you have been following me, you will know that I always use 4 inches or 5 inches the highest from my underbust to the bust point to mark my bust point, right? After that is what I mark. I draw out all the line, then mark my nipple to nipple, and the nipple to nipple of this my client is 4 inches, and I mark it under bust point and all that. So after that, I draw out my neckline, which is 3.5 for the neckline, and then on the shoulder I divide the shoulder by 2, and then on top the shoulder I drop 1 inches and connect my shoulder slope. And after that, I mark my armhole, and then I connected the armhole to the shoulder. The shoulder to the armhole line, I divided it by 2, and then I mark my bust on top my upper bust line, and then I connect it together. I'm going to connect the half because where I make the middle of my armhole, I came inside with half inches. So after that, I mark the half inch to the that is the upper bust, and then I connect it to the shoulder. After that, I marked 3.5 on my neckline, and then I connected it to the shoulder. On the waistline, I divided my waist by 4, and then I mark it. On the under bust, I go out with 1.5, then go in with half inch, and then on the waistline the same thing. On top my bust point, I came down with 1 inch, and then I'm going to connect it to my under bust like this, and you can see what I'm doing here. So I will do the same thing. I'll connect from the waist to the under bust, and then so after that, I am going to now divide my shoulder into 2. So after dividing it, I will connect from the bust to the shoulder. From the bust point, I will come up with 3.5, and then I will use what I marked from the under bust, that is 2 inches. I will go out with 1.5, and then I will come in with half inch. I'm going to connect from that bust point to that mark, that 1.5 and half inch like that. So at this upper part, I am going to take 2.5 upward to get my neckline, because that is where I would like her bust to reach. I'm going to connect it to my armhole. I make her upper bust to reach. That is, I don't want it to show too much because she doesn't want it to show too much. Then I now mark my side dart with 1 inch. Mind you, I did not measure her myself, so I don't know how the back side is. So if I don't have measurement like that, I always use 1 inch to mark the side dart. So I'm going to cut it out like that, and then I'm going to drop it on top. You can see what I'm doing. Mark it out and then cut out all what I've marked. Mind you, this is not the end of it. This is the design, so we are going to make it short like that. So at this upper part, I'm going to use 3.5 inches that I marked. So I'm going to connect it to the bust. I'm going to connect it to the upper bust. Then I'm going to mark what I have on this upper one to get the middle part, because they have to be the same length, so that when I'm joining it, the middle part will not be shorter than the side. So that is why I connected. I mark out what I have on the side to the middle. You can see what I did here. So I'm going to cut it out like this. I will just place them together to see the upper part if they equal. And then this part, I'm going to cut the under bust out. I'm going to cut it out like this from the under bust, and then I'll trace and see the middle part, because the middle part has to come up. I don't want it to show down, so I'll go up with 1 inch. I'm going to connect it to the side like this. So I will measure what I have on the side to the middle if they have the same inches. So if it doesn't, like my own, it was not the same thing, so I join a little bit of paper to mark it to get the exact measurement I have on the side. So I'll label it the upper part and the down part, so that I will not turn the down to the up or turn the up to the down part. So I'll cut out, you can see the design that we have in the middle, it has a cutout. So I'll cut out the middle part like this. So this is going to be like the band on the chest. Do you understand? That band that is on the chest line. So I'm going to gum the side to the middle that I cut out, not that band, because the other one I cut out is the band, but the second part that is remaining, I'm going to attach it, like I'm going to gum it to the side, so that I'll be able to divide the upper part out. I hope you understand what I'm saying. If you look the design, you will see what I'm trying to do. Like, so I'm going to measure 2.5 on the middle part, 2.5 like this on the middle part. You can see, then on the upper bust to the from the upper bust, you use the upper bust, not the beginning of the cup. So I'll mark out 3 inches for the side from the upper bust. I'll mark out 3 inches by the side, and then I'll connect it the way you see. So then I'll cut it out. So this part I will still divide the down part, because it's going to be like a 3-piece, 3-piece of a bra cup, you understand. So I label it out, and this is how it is. Now I'm going to dive into the back side, because the front side is done. So I'm going to mark the back side. So I start with my zip allowance. I put zip at the back of this crop top. So I mark out my darts from the zip line. I mark out my darts, and the zip line I use 1.5. So after that, I mark my neckline 3.5 as the front, and then divide my shoulder by 2. Then drop 1 inch from the shoulder, and then use my neckline 1.5. And then I'm going to connect the shoulder slope, and then connect the back neckline with that 1.5. You can see what I'm doing. And then after that, I'm going to mark out my armhole. You know how to calculate the armhole. So if you don't know, check my page. I've already think I made a video on how to divide, how to get the armhole. You check my page and you know how to divide your armhole. So I inserted all my measurements, that is the bust, the same thing I did on the front, just that this back side I'm not going to go in with 1/2 inch, because the back doesn't have bust that will be making the armhole to bulge out, like to be squeezing. So mark it and connect it to the bust like that. So after that, I will mark out waistline that is divided by 4, mark it out, and then mark out my dart. And then at the waistline, I'm going to mark the dart, which is half inch on each side like this. Both the side half, the middle half, I'll connect it to my bust point like that. And then the armhole, I will divide the side of that armhole by 2. Then I will connect it to, I will go down from the upper bust. I'll go down with 1 inch, and then I will connect the side to the 1 inch like that. Then I take note of this particular point, because that one now is something that we are going to use to cut out the same thing as the front. Remember, we have 3.5 here, so that is what I mark on that side of the back side, the same thing I did at the back side. So 3.5, I connected it to the back side 3.5. I connected it to the 1 inch that I mark out from that upper bust line. You can see what I did here. So I will mark it and then cut it off. So the cutting starts from the under bust, like the same thing I did on the front, from the under bust to the 3.5 at the armhole line. Like I said, I will divide this, my cup, the under cup, I will divide it by 2. The under one, I'll divide it by 2, and then I'll place it on the lining so I can cut it out. I'll stay it, and then I'll also cut out the same size of this width, because I'm going to first of all stay it before I now use this pattern paper to cut it exact and give it half inches so allowance. So I'm going to give by the side of the pattern, I'm going to use half inches. So that is all. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to follow and comment if you have any question. See you in my next video. Bye bye.